Have you ever wondered, how do I unlock my brain's natural ability to change? Or thought to yourself, why does willpower alone keep falling short? And how can I create the right condition for real, lasting change? How about this one? What if resilience and adaptability were actual skills that you could develop and apply to any challenging that life just throws in our situation, in our way? If any of those things resonated with you, then this episode is the one that you have been waiting for. And I promise you, I have the perfect guest to help us explore the science and the soul of true transformation. Are you excited? Come on, somebody. What's good, Elevation Nation, and welcome to the Elevate It podcast, where it stands for inner tugging, the divine pull within, guiding us in self-awareness, relationships, and spiritual unfolding through inner work. I am your host, Christian F. Johnson, and this is our powerful episode. So now let's go. Listen, today's guest is an incredible author, speaker, consult, whose mission is simple but powerful. Hear me when I say it, right? To offer his mission is to offer individuals and organizations a better way forward. Somebody say forward, or put that in the comment section, right? A path to real change that drives real outcomes. I'm excited by just reflecting on this, right? And everything he does, this was the game changer for me. He makes 3 commitments. Remember them, y'all. 1, to be honest, and to challenge people with the kind of ideas and concepts and conversations that are too often uncomfortable but deeply necessary. Number 2, to help people, offering strategies and tactics that actually work. And 3, which is my personal favorite, to lead by example. Living the same concepts and strategies, the mindset that he teaches, that we'll hear about today in his work, in his relationships, and as a parent. And so over the years, he has developed 6 science-backed strategies rooted in how people actually change. These aren't feel-good theories. These are proven tools for shifting behavior, rewiring your brain, and accelerating results. Listen, he's not just a strategist. He knows how to apply pressure, move fast, and deliver quick results that sticks. Listen, he is the author of the powerful book, Change: 6 Science-Backed Strategies to Transform Your Brain, Body, and Behavior. Here with us today to talk from the topic, the science of sustainable change, rewiring the brain from the inside out. Elevation Nation, please help me welcome Mr. Michael J. López to the Elevate It podcast. Let's go. How you doing?
Hey, I'm gonna pay you money to do that every time I go somewhere. That was incredible. I appreciate you, man. That was fantastic. I've never felt so good about myself in my whole life. So thank you. I appreciate you.
Well, I just want to help rewire the brain. So if I can be in the area where I can encourage, I can motivate. Listen, I'm gonna tell Elevation Nation, when we met, I just felt like the you being authentic. And that's the thing for me and Elevation Nation. You know, we can write books, we can have degrees, we can do all those things. But the person that matches the message, the man that matches the message, that's what it is for me. And so I want to thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule just to share with us about change and true transformation, because that's really what I'm all about. And I'll be honest, I'm a little selfish. So I might want a little bit of coaching personally through this conversation. Are you all right with that?
That's great. That's great. I'm here to help people in whatever way that takes shape. So I'm passing it on.
I appreciate it, sir. I appreciate it. So I want to get right in, Elevation Nation. Listen, get your pen, get your paper. Make sure that you're able to take some notes. You might want to play this back again and again, and definitely make sure you're sharing it with somebody. Look, it's still time. You can hit the pause. You can go get a family member, a friend. Just let them know that we are true and we are real about this transformation that we're about to move forward within. So I have to know, Michael, like what sparked your interest in the merger of like that transformation with, I guess, like the science or the neuroscience. Like,
Yeah.
where did that come from? Talk to me about that.
Well, I've been a coach in various capacities my whole life. I started out as an athlete, college athlete, and started coaching teams as a consultant, coaching leaders, coaching teams, coaching organizations. And I was doing things that I had learned along the way in shaping athletes and shaping myself and understanding the value of stress and adaptation and improvement, getting 1% better, all of these strategies, being uncomfortable, the power of teams. And, as I got farther in my corporate life, helping companies change, I realized something really important. Number one, we seem to have forgotten that companies are just groups of people, and we'd show up to work, we'd put somebody through a 30-minute training and then expect them to be different. And nobody got better because of a 30-minute workout and then never did it again, or no team ever got better from one 30-minute practice and then never played again. And so I realized that we were missing some relationship between what we knew about the body and about how we perform in life, and that wasn't translating into companies. The second thing I realized was that, all of this stuff around groups and teams, certainly there's a lot of things that have to go right for a group of people to perform. But at the end of the day, the unit of measurement is the individual. There is a fundamental truth in life. The only person you can change is yourself. That will always be true. You cannot change another person, and you'll never be able to do that. And we were losing the experience of the individual in the experience of change. And then I got to this point of thinking, well, if it's all about the individual and we understand what it takes on the sports field, in terms of how we shift our bodies, why don't we just apply those concepts to the brain? And right around the COVID time, I jumped in and started diving into the research. We know more about the brain than at any point in our history. And it just became a natural next step for me to kind of jump out on my own and bring these different circles in the Venn diagram together and offer this to the world. And it's really been a great ride these last few years.
I love it. I love it. And thank you for even sharing that. So I got to go deeper. So since we're talking about it, I got to know, how do we actually unlock the brain's natural ability to change? So please take us there.
Yeah. Well, I think it's important to understand that your brain you have the ability to learn your entire life. And anyone who tells you differently doesn't understand what they're talking about. And I tell people, I hope you learn something new the day before they close the casket, because we have that ability all of our lives. So first, it's important to understand that you can change and learn and grow in all sorts of amazing ways. And so that's the first step. And I think people who say you can't teach an old dog new tricks and all that stuff, it's just simply not true. How we learn is different and how we change is different. But that's the first thing. Second thing it's important to realize is, back to this idea that you can't change anyone else is tied to this idea that no two brains on planet Earth are the same, and no two brains will ever be the same. And so while we know that there are things about our human experience that are shared, change is a very personal experience. It's very relative to you as an individual, your arc, your history, your beliefs, your journey, your family, all of these things. The third thing I would say is, change is hard. And I think a lot of times we sell the easy button because it sounds good. I used to do that in my consulting life. We would tell clients, oh, here's my 7-point strategy for your company. Don't worry, this isn't going to be hard. It'll only take a couple months. Everything's going to go fine. And, we know that that's just not true, right? If change were easy, everyone would do it all the time. And so I think the third step is to acknowledge and embrace the idea that this will be difficult, and there's a part of your brain called the anterior mid-cingulate cortex. It's one of the great discoveries of the last 20 years or so. It's actually a part of your brain that's tied to the experience of doing hard things.
Hmm.
Athletes have among the biggest anterior mid-cingulate cortexes of any people we know. People who live longer have bigger regions in this brain. And so we know that when you do hard things, you live longer, you perform better. And so it's about stepping into the understanding that this may be difficult, but it's worth it and it's worthwhile. And those are the first 3 steps of the journey.
All right, so let's go a little deeper because I can't go past that right now. Okay, so let's go back. All right, so you're telling me you can change. Okay, so the whole mindset of can't teach a old dog new tricks, we're gonna throw that out, right? That's not there. Elevation Nation, y'all hearing that? Write that down. Put that in the comment section. If you're just listening, say it out of your mouth, right? I can change, right? I can change. So I'm always learning, right? If I'm opening my mindset to there, if I'm connecting to that vibration, if I'm at that place of realizing that I can change. Here you go. Here's another part. I'm hearing perspective. All right, Michael, because you're saying change is hard. Now, you're talking about the area of sports. You're talking about that background. Now, I'm not an athlete. My kids are athletes. My wife is more of a sports fan than I am. I'm just going to put that out there. So if you start naming people, I'd have to go check with them. But this is one thing I do understand from going to the gym, right? That it seems as though if I'm working out, that there's some tearing of muscle, there's some tearing that kind of goes on, which can be viewed as painful. But if I want the muscle, if I want the strength, if I want the power, if I want that area of the result, then I have to realize that it's a part of the journey, is what I'm hearing from there. So it's our perspective about the pain, because it may not feel good, but it can all work together for my good. Am I taking good notes?
You're doing great, and what you actually described is something I talk about in the book. We've all heard about a growth mindset. We know what that is. We've heard that phrase from the trailblazing work of Carol Dweck in the book that she wrote about that. There's another piece of work which she's done with some other academics about what's called a stress is enhancing mindset. And what that is what you just described. This may not feel good, but it's good for me. Right. What I would say in the journey of stress, as we think about how hard change can be, and there's levels to this, right? Some things are easier than others, for sure, is you will not change unless you rebuild your relationship with stress. You have to
hold on. Say it again. Say it again. Say it again. Say it again. I need to hear it again. I need to hear it again. One more time.
You will not change unless you rebuild your relationship with stress.
Okay.
And that's one of the 6 strategies, which I call embrace stress. Look, there are levels to this, right? We're not talking about long-term, sustained, traumatic, physical, emotional stress. We know from the science that that's debilitating, and people who are in that situation, get the help you need. I'm not qualified to solve those problems. What we're talking about is short-term, acute, particularly self-induced stress is incredibly beneficial, not just for your body, your immune system, but it creates focus, which is one of the essential ingredients of learning. Right? We also know that when we are at a heightened state of stress, we have the ability to deliver more effort. Effort is a part of the learning experience, right? If I'm going to learn something, I need energy, attention, and alertness, meaning I can't be sleepy. I need to be awake. I need to be, right? I need to have the ability to focus on the thing I'm wanting to learn. And then I need to deliver effort in the spirit of that activity, right? And so stress is the first part of that. We learn under stress. We grow under stress. We change under stress. But if you shy away from the experience, the physiological experience of stress, you will not grow. And it's one of the first strategies I teach people.
All right. Let's time out. Okay. Let's on the field. All right. I need a timeout. All right, players. I need y'all to go to us. Go ahead. Okay. Listen. So, it sounds like you're putting stress in a place of something positive. So I need a little bit of Elevation Nation. We're leaders, we're emerging leaders, emerging authors, we're in inner elevation. We're doing this work. We're realizing that. So we're saying that we got to have a different perspective on this area of stress, because when I'm hearing stress, it tears you down. Stress, it comes from a place where, that can give you heart attacks, and stress can to all these things. So we're not discounting those things, but from what I'm hearing, you're saying is it's a different shift. It's a perspective. It's one coin. It's two sides to that coin. And maybe we've been focusing on just one side of that coin that has had us to that place. But if it's a higher vibration, a higher energy, a higher level, that I realize again, the same thing where all those things are working together for my good, I'm realizing that there has to be something that I can learn from this situation, that I can look within, that I can breathe, that I can see what that change is, and not the temporary one. It sounds like you have insight, wisdom, and science-backed, proven strategies and information that can have us keep that progression and stay with the transformed mindset. Is that accurate?
Yeah, look, yes. Let me give you a basic example. Would you ever expect your muscles to grow if you didn't lift weights? No. Then why
No.
would you expect your behavior to change if you don't test that behavior under conditions of stress? Right? So your brain is the same thing, and that's my point. Is we would you go out onto the field and you stress a team to perform under difficult circumstances. You show up to work and we tell people, all right, just relax. This isn't going to hurt a bit. It's not going to be hard. You don't have to do anything differently. No, you do, and you have to step into that. Right? Look, if we know that there's a part of your brain that gets bigger when you do hard things, and you know that when that region of your brain gets bigger, you physically live longer, the answer is pretty clear. Do hard things.
Do the hard thing.
Things as much as you can. And it's progressive, right? Because the more I do hard things, the more that other hard things in the future seem less hard. So there's a great book I would encourage people to read, all of your listeners. I reference it in the book. So for those the folks that read the book, they'll see it. It's a book called How Emotions Are Made by Dr. Lisa Feldman Barrett. Okay. Groundbreaking, incredible, transformative work. And it turns on its head, pun intended, the idea of how we understand the experience of our emotions. And what that comes from is this idea that our brains are prediction machines. Our brains are constantly guessing what's going to happen next, and for good reason. And I won't spoil that. People can read the book. But this idea that if I do hard things, my prediction of future hard things happens in two ways. Number one, big things seem less big, but I start to form an identity as somebody who does hard things. And any path we have on the other side of the habits we want to change or the goals we want to accomplish requires us to do hard things. So this isn't just, manifest positivity and think about positive things. There's actual science behind the idea that if you do hard things, you get better at doing hard things. It's just that simple.
Wow. That's good. And I like the both approach. I like the manifestation and all that stuff as well, but I'm also not afraid of hard work as well. Matter of fact, you say something that I want to go into as well. You say that willpower alone doesn't work. And I need to know, why is that? And what actually does work when we want real change?
Yeah. Christian, what's your favorite guilty pleasure, snack food, junk food thing you like to eat?
I don't know what, listen, for me, I go to a Wawa and I can get a blueberry muffin, and it's the fresh muffin. I will wait sometimes when I know the truck comes up. It's around 9:30 around my area. And then that truck comes in, I need that muffin. That's the guilty pleasure. Talk to me.
All right. Don't eat that muffin ever again.
Yes. I don't know. I can't promise you that, sir.
Because why? What did I just do? Number one, I turned all of your attention on the muffin. Don't think about that muffin.
The muffin.
What are you thinking about? You're thinking about the muffin. Number one.
Yes.
Right. Number two, you just described something really powerful. You built a ritual around the experience of that muffin. Now, after how many times do you think you've done that in your life? How many times have you had that muffin? 50, 100?
Yeah, you can get up there. Yes.
Yeah.
I won't, I'm not proud of it, but yes.
No. It's fine. You've formed a habit around that muffin. Now, willpower says, I just tell you, Christian, don't ever do that again. No strategy, no technique, no toolkit, just don't. You could probably do it for a couple of days, but eventually, all you think about is the muffin, right? what we know about the reason I use that example is because that's how a lot of people form their goals. That's what we call an avoidance goal. Avoiding a behavior that I don't want to participate in. Don't drink, don't smoke, don't stay up late, don't scroll my phone, whatever don't phrase that we have.
Mm-hmm.
The challenge with that is we pick the things that are really hard. They're the behaviors that are in front of us every day, right? And then we don't have a strategy for how to build around it. So you got to do two things. Okay.
Tell me.
Number one, I need to rebuild my goal from an avoidance goal to an approach goal. What an approach goal is defining my behavior into what I want to become, not what I want to avoid. So a way to rebuild that is to say, instead of Christian, don't go eat the blueberry muffin, is I want to be somebody who makes healthy choices. And every opportunity that presents itself in my future is an opportunity to make a healthy choice. And some days I choose the muffin and other days I don't. But I am pursuing an identity around making healthy choices so that when I show up to the blueberry muffin, I can go one of two ways. I can continue to approach the person I want to become, or I can go backwards, right? Now, that's not enough. Okay, so let me just say why that's not enough. But that's a starting point. When I'm approaching something, what we know in the science of motivation is that when I start something and when I'm about to finish my goal, I'm at my most motivated point. It's like a road trip. When you go on a road trip, everybody's jazzed for the first hour. And then you're driving like hours 2, 3, and 4. You're like, oh my God, is this over yet? And then you get to almost where you're getting to and you get another spike of energy. Yeah. This is how our brains work. When we start something and when we finish something. If I'm just telling you not to do something, you're never starting a new path. You're simply trying to avoid an old path. And that's really demotivating. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, 100%.
If I'm constantly chasing the opportunity to make healthy choices, I'm constantly approaching a finish line. And that's a lot more motivating to us as people. So redesigning our goals into orientations that we're pursuing something, because, and here's the last big piece, is we know, again, the science of motivation, that dopamine is not the reward hormone. It's the pursuit hormone. It's the anticipation hormone. It's the thing I get when I'm chasing the thing I want. If I were to hook you up to a bunch of sensors in your brain, your levels of dopamine would be the highest right when you started the ritual of pursuing the blueberry muffin. And the minute you ate it, it would go way down. Because you're chasing, we're striving. Our eyes are in the front of our head for a reason. We're hunters, we're pursuers. And so if I redesign that goal into something else I'm chasing that I value more than the blueberry muffin, now I'm designing motivation and not just relying on willpower to chase something new. You have to always be in an orientation of pursuit.
Wow.
That's a lot of stuff in there.
No, it is. You hit the pursuit of happiness, the pursuit of healthiness, the pursuit of all of them. And it does make sense why you say the area of the willpower is not enough. And there is strategy, there is science. But I've always said it even beyond having the words. I'll use it as this example because we go through in our house. So I have twins that are 16 now. So keep me in your thoughts because they both got my twins got their permits like last week, and they've been wanting to drive every single day. All right. And then I have a 10-year-old that will be 11 later on this month, but they know dad will go through this situation a couple times a year. I'm like, we're just eating healthy, get all the this out, get it. And they're like, oh, here dad goes again. Well, that already let you know. Now, 2 of them are athletes. I got one and entrepreneurs, young entrepreneurs. They're well, 3 of them are. But it's just great to see how they're on it. But I realized, like you're saying, it's a pattern. It doesn't last long, even like dieting versus like a healthy lifestyle. Okay, I want to lose the 10 pounds. I do this, or fasting, or intermittent, whatever. But the lifestyle. So even as true, if I had you're right. I'm like, oh, this is good. I'm getting excited about this. You take a bite, you get it, and it's all over with until you go chase that high again. And so, if
willpower was enough, January 19th would not exist. You know what January 19th is?
Tell me.
Quitter's Day.
I didn't know that was a thing.
That is the day that most people give up on their New Year's resolution.
Quitter's Day.
19 days, right? So if willpower was enough, if want to was just enough, then we wouldn't have this problem, right? What we have to do, again, is redesign your goals into something that you want to pursue more. And then we talked about stress, right? You have to deliver effort, right? So everybody wants to lose 20 pounds, right? Or whatever your goal is, you want to lose that extra little bit. You don't lose that little bit in one workout. You have to do it over several iterative, repetitive experiences. And so willpower is not enough to motivate you to get up and do that every day. You have to be chasing something new, number one. And number two is you have to love the effort of pursuing your goal. That has to be the reward.
Wow.
The goal is not the goal. That's going to sound weird. The goal is not 20 pounds. The goal is the pursuit of the effort to chase the 20 pounds. So maybe it's, I'm going to exercise for 30 minutes a day, 3 times a week. And I just check the box. Did I do it? Yes or no? It's the effort. And today I stay motivated because I started my 30-minute workout. I finished it and I focus on that experience. And then tomorrow I do it. I'm not worried about the 20 pounds. I'm worried about tomorrow's effort. I'm worried about today's effort, right? And so that's a lot of stuff I talk about because we see the outcomes and we want those outcomes and we're chasing them, but it takes so long to get there that we get really demotivated because it never goes as quickly as we want.
Wow. And look, I didn't schedule to go on this way again, but I'm gonna go here just because this is where we go. And even in the audience, so people know who I am. Again, this is not a Christian-based podcast. I am who I am when it comes to the area of faith. But this is what hits me as an entrepreneur, man of faith. I hear a lot of spiritual things in science for me. And even when I'm in business side or faith side, I hear, so it all works together. So you're saying things that I know from a spiritual side, and it's still all working together in the uniqueness. Like, and you're hitting these things in such a way that like I'm hitting the inner aha moments. Like this makes total sense. Because from my side, it was saying where the good that I want to do, sometimes I can't do because there's just other things that are present. And you're right. You got ego that's represented. You have culture. You got social media. You have all these things in your mind that you're dealing with these things. And you're saying, okay, I can say all I want to do. Let me just pray or let me just do these things. All those are behaviors. All those things that's connected to willpower and doing those things. But what is the strategy behind the things? And again, guys, whether you are in faith or not, this is not what it's about. It's no judgment whatsoever. I'm just using this to prove to stress the area of the point of these principles remain the same. And it's these principles that we can take no matter where we are, whether we're in corporate, whether in ministry, whether you're in marriage and relationship or anything else. You're saying that what is the pursuit? The pursuit of healthiness, spirituality, of wealth, of finances, abundance, whatever it is, that's the area day by day. I was in special needs education for 10 years before we started in the area of business, and we had IEPs. All right. So it was the individual educational programs that we dealt with. And I learned so much to realize that we can all be in the same class, but everyone has a different goal. Everyone has a different desire. And you know what was unique? We did something called a preference assessment. And so we would get something that would be a tangible, that would be an encouragement to the student. So maybe Johnny liked Skittles, or Johnny liked apples, or Johnny wanted to work to go ahead and play basketball. We would take it, watch this, Michael, daily. We didn't just say, hey, here's Skittles for the week. Hey, here's a carrot. We daily, and sometimes in the session to teach the principle for it to stick, we had to continue to assess what it was that was now that pursuit. So they were working for the Skittle or working for the whatever it was, the game time. And I think I'm hearing the same principles in everything you're sharing right now. Is saying, what's that motivation? It's almost like fall in love with the pursuit.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. And we've heard this time and time again. And, if you want to put it into the sort of faith orientation, right? The pursuit of the divine, however you may define that for you, is that is a goal, right? And when you stare at that goal, what you see in your future are opportunities to be divine in nature, to make choices in keeping with that principle, right? This is a very Buddhist concept that what you stare at gets bigger, right? And
Yes.
and ironically, or not so ironically, one of the strategies I talk about in my book is this idea of what we call create focus. So,
Mm.
like 70% of your brain is dedicated to the visual system, right? If you want to learn something new, I can I can sort of share this with everyone right now. Let's say you want to read a book. Let's say you want to learn a new language, whatever it is. Stare at a point on a wall for 3 minutes. Just stare at that point. Pick a dot and stare at it for 3 minutes. What happens is your brain sends a signal back into itself through your eyes that says, it's time to pay attention. It's time to focus. And you will find that your attentional control, which is what's required for adult learning, goes way up and you'll be able to focus. It's why phones are bad in a lot of ways, because we quickly move between images, right? Flickering between images, your brain never has a moment to latch on to the thing that it needs to pay attention to. So
Wow.
if I'm somebody who makes healthy choices, or if I'm somebody who's pursuing the divine, or someone who's serving the God and that I choose to serve,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
or someone who's leading my organization for the people that I care about. And if that's what I focus on, then every opportunity I see, no matter how difficult, is an opportunity to live in concert with those principles. But if all I'm telling you is, Christian, don't be a bad leader, don't eat the blueberry muffin, don't be selfish, I don't have a strategy for how that works. And my body is constantly just staring at the blueberry muffin, as opposed to
Mm.
finding opportunities to make choices that are consistent with my approach goals, right? So all of this stuff, you're exactly right. All I did in this book, quite honestly, was assemble the research that had been done that was so disparate across all of our sources, and put them in one place and then give people a process to go implement that. Many of these strategies we didn't have a language for, but we had other avenues for how to pursue them, right? I used athletics. People use faith, people use all sorts of things. And so now we know that the science behind why it happens, it just gives people, I think, a sense of comfort that, like, this isn't a bunch of mumbo jumbo. It
Yeah.
actually is, there are parts of my brain responding to this experience.
I love it. I love it. Look, listen, I think we need to just go on the road. I feel like, look, all the algorithms, all the platforms, they just need to come into an agreement with this episode and get it out to any and everybody as possible, because what you're sharing, the pun intended, is life changing. I mean, because
I hope
it's
so.
not necessarily that it's, per se, like, not that, like you said, it's new. It's just we didn't have language to understand. And given that aha moment, it's like, okay, you said 6 science-backed strategies that you can go through. So we can go through your book. We can get some principles. We can realize that pretty much when we get through the book and applying these strategies, that we can really stay in the area of transformation,
Yep.
and begin to just to clear up some of those things. So I guess the question I have is, if somebody today is listening and watching and they say, that sounds good, I hear what you're saying, I want to move forward in that, I'm hearing about these 6 science backed strategies, but I'm stuck in a pattern and I'm desperately wanting to change. Michael, tell me where I need to begin.
Well, we've talked about them. So I think the first thing is, you've already begun if you know that you have a pattern that you want to break, right? So one of the things I say about particularly adult learning, it's not whether you can learn, it's whether or not you believe you have something to learn. And so many of us shut off the experience of thinking that we might have a growth opportunity in front of us. It's why we don't talk to people who have different political orientations or faith-based orientations or different ideas that other sports teams. You pick your thing that we think, we're right and they're wrong. The truth is, we're all a little bit right and we're all a little bit wrong. And so that first thing is really embracing the idea that I need to take a new path. The second step is getting information, right? So we've talked a lot about that here, and there's a lot of it in my book. And each of those 6 strategies gives you some tips for how to shift your environment to create constraints so that you don't engage in behavior you don't want to engage in, or access to things that you want to do. How to initiate movement, how to use movement for motivation. We talked about embracing stress. We talked about creating focus. We haven't talked a lot about repetition. Repetition is a big piece of this.
Okay.
I'll tell you 2 things. The first thing is it'll take you far more repetitions to learn something new than you wished it did. Okay. You have to repeat a behavior a lot. It just is what it is. The second thing is you have to make mistakes. If you're someone who does not want to make mistakes or doesn't like mistakes, you will not grow. Mistakes are the single largest contributor to the opportunity for neuroplasticity that we have. And I say opportunity specifically because you can make a mistake, and if you don't learn from it, it's a wasted moment. And so we've got to understand how to do that in a way that sort of serves our goal, right? And then have an emphasis on effort, right? And so for me, all of those things come down to one real simple principle. The principle is simple. The process may not be. There's a formula for change, right? These 6 variables, we know that they play a role in any change experience you want. But change is not formulaic because all of our brains are different. So what you need is different than what I need. But your job is to figure out how to combine those 6 things in a way that works for you. Test, learn, experiment, fail, get back up, try again, get support, do all that sort of stuff. Because here's the truth. And maybe this is a bit of a, because you sort of asked me for how, and we're explaining the pieces of how.
Mm-hmm.
But the basic answer is change is not a spectator sport. You cannot hope your way into being different. If you want to be different, you have to do different. Change is a verb. It will always be a verb. It requires you to get up and move in the direction of your goals, fail, try again, start over, try something new. And that's what it's all about, right? The only magic button is you getting up and moving. And that's really what it's all about.
No, that's good. That's good. That's good. Look, we didn't even get to that point yet, but I'm gonna tell you, go ahead and get the book. Get the book. Order the book for yourself. Order for somebody else. And you, Elevation Nation, you've heard me say this before, but hopefully y'all can feel this vibe is different from any time I've said this before, even though you've heard this before. I think it would be dope. It would be great. It would be awesome to not only get the book, but get it for somebody else, for you to journey together in an area of conversation, right? So this is a good family discussion. This is something that can help with the area of the kids. This is helping area relationship, marriage, faith, non-faith, corporate, wherever. Like, these principles are transferable, okay? And as a fellow coach, in this area of inner elevation, the one thing that I was even thinking about with your book and why I'm going to even go through the area of reading it as well, because I think sometimes as parents, as leaders, as coaches, like we want to model transformation, but modeling it without like forcing it. If that makes sense, you know what I'm saying? It's like, like I don't want to force religion down somebody's throat. I don't want to force down somebody. I want it to be like, man, like you see that apple I'm eating, and Michael, you'll be like, Christian, where'd you get that apple from? Because I've modeled it in a way that it's attractive, it's contagious, it's that area without forcing it. So it sounds like too, even the way that you're sharing, like I felt no threats. I've read the bio, I've seen things, so I realize you can be real and you're not afraid to speak that truth. But what I feel is that love. I feel that presence. I feel care. And I feel like now than ever before in life and culture and I'm not getting into politics, but in everything else that's going on, I believe we should be transformed by the renewing of our mind. And we're realizing that this is something that we have power to go ahead and do. We're already equipped with this coding, with this DNA, with these cells, with everything we have. We already have it. I say this often. There's nothing missing, nothing lacking, nothing broken. I just don't view people that way. I view it as an area that's always unfolding. So like you're saying, let's not miss the moment. This is a change moment, and we can have a change moment and transcend at any given time we make the decision to. We don't have to wait for the right a person in here. We don't have to wait for the right this, right that. We can get access to these principles you are sharing. And at any moment in time, we can elevate, pun intended, our inner tugging. That's what that it is to move forward. So thank you for writing the vision and making it plain in a way that we can run with it. We can continue to move forward and be all that we are cultivated and desiring to be in this season. I salute you, sir. Thank you.
I appreciate it. And this has been great. And, I hope your listeners will check it out. I hope they'll apply the principles. There is a little workbook that you can download that goes with the book. And, you said something in there that is really interesting to me that I want to share back with everyone. And you sort of talk about this moment. I think we all need to just embrace the idea that we are the most adaptable species that has ever lived. We have demonstrated that over our lifetimes. And I think if we can lean into this identity that I just don't have the ability to change, but that I have the responsibility to change, right? Change isn't just possible. It's a skill. You can learn how to do it. That's what the book is about, to teach you how to change, to give you the tools to do that. But it's not just possible, it's necessary, right? And I think that's the calling that you're describing about. That's why I wrote the book. And you talked about my 3 commitments at the beginning of this call. That's why I live the way that I do, because, my poor kids, my poor family, they get a heavy dose of me every day, right? What's the opportunity? How do I lean into this difficult moment? What's the thing that scares you the most? Go do that. How do I shift my environment? How do I change the goal? How do I redesign something? Oh, you're comfortable? Okay, time to find something new, right? All of those things are what's behind this incredible journey that we have as human beings. And like you said, it's all there. It's all possible. So.
No, thank you. Michael, where can we find your book? Okay, we've talked about it. We've mentioned it. Tell us where we can grab a copy or 2 or 3 or 4.
Yep. Well, it's available to order on all the, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Ingram. If you go to my website, michaeljlopez.coach, you'll find a link to it there. All my socials are there. I've got a weekly newsletter I do because I do a weekly LinkedIn Live series on with other top voices in my community, and that's been just a great, joy for me. Talk about something that this is just a great example. I'm going to leave people with this. At the end of 2024, I decided I needed a kind of a new goal, something new to work on that I hadn't done before. And so I started a weekly LinkedIn Live series with other top voices. And somebody said, "Oh, you should start a podcast." And I was like, "I don't want to do that. I never thought about doing that." But I said, I'm going to do 50 conversations every Tuesday for the entire year of 2025, except for 4th of July and Christmas. And I'm going to set this process up. There's no outcome that I designed. I wasn't trying to get 1,000, followers from this, or I wasn't trying to make a certain amount of money. My only goal was to create a platform for people to have conversations, to learn a new skill that I had never learned before, to make mistakes and have conversations, and open up a platform for people to share our experiences with one another. And someone said, "What are you going to do when you're done?" And I was like, "I don't know. I'm focusing on next week right now. That's all I'm doing, is focusing on the next thing." And now what's happened after doing 20 of these or so, I've had people approach me, "Hey, we'd love to maybe, do something with you. There's opportunities to collaborate." I've had people come and show up. And never once did I say, I want to go make a bunch of money or I want to do any of this stuff. The only goal was to try something I'd never done, learn something new, and repeat that behavior 50 times. That was it.
You messed me up. You messed me up. Oh, you messed me up. Look, Elevation Nation, I'm gonna end it with y'all so I can have a moment or two with Michael off screen, okay? Because he messed me up with that one there. Thank you so much. Grab a copy of the book or a number of copies. You shared on your socials. Can you share a little bit where we can find you on your socials? Are you on LinkedIn? Are you on where you at? And what is your handles?
I'm on LinkedIn. I'm Michael J. Lopez. It's an easy one to find because I'm one of the top voices. So if you put that in there, it'll usually come up with me. Instagram, Michael J. Lopez 9. Facebook, I put the 9 on there. That was my college football number. You can see, I guess you can't see in the screen behind me there. There's a picture of me in my jersey with my son. kind of a funny way that my friend did that. But yeah, that's all on my website, Michael J. López Coach. I'm not a TikTok guy yet, but Instagram, Facebook, a little bit on X. I haven't done a lot with that. I'm just starting to pick that up. Instagram and LinkedIn are my biggest places.
Wow. Thank you. Guys, follow him and check out some of those LinkedIn lives. Trust me, I will be checking them out, okay? So again, Michael, thank you so much for sharing your wisdom and your journey with us. I typically ask our guests to leave us with a word of encouragement, but you've already left us with all the words of encouragement. It's like you were in my notes ahead of time. And so Elevation Nation, as well as our viewers and our listeners, if you haven't hit the subscribe button, please hit the subscribe button, share this with somebody that you know, that you care for, that you know will benefit from this book, as well as this wisdom that was given. And like I said at the beginning, watch it over and over and over again. Take the notes, but more importantly, apply what is being shared. Okay, because we have information, but then we can have application, and that's the area of that activation that ties to that application. So let's move forward and be good stewards of what it is that we are receiving. All right, Elevation Nation family, thank you for showing up and continuing to show up and elevate with us. You are amazing. You are good. And my prayer, as always, is that good, great, and awesomeness continue to flow to you and through you this week. All right. Blessings and enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you, Michael.